So if you think you're looking at tofu right now, think again. This is actually no-fu, aka Mung-Fu, and it's made with 2 ingredients, mung beans and lemon juice. I had a lot of people write me and ask for a soy-free alternative to tofu, and this is it. And today, I'm going to show you how to make your own. Okay guys, so before we start making our no-fu, let's talk about what we're going to need to make it and the options that you have, because there's some more cost-effective ways to do this. First thing you're going to need is a blender, a high-powered blender, and that's what I have here. Now, if you have a high-powered blender, you're in business. If you're not sure if your blender is powerful enough, if you've ever made nut milk in your blender and it went well and got smooth and the results were good, then you're probably in good shape. Otherwise, a standard high-powered blender should do the trick. Now, once we have our beans blended, we're going to have to strain them, and for that, we're going to need a nut milk bag. And you can find these in most grocery stores. If you can't find it in your local grocery stores, you could always order it online. Okay, we're going to strain it, and then we're going to get our beans curded. Now, we're going to take our bean curds and we're going to press them, and that's where you have some options. Now, currently, what I use to press them is this. This is a stainless steel tofu press. We're making no-fu, but this is a tofu press. And the way it works is it has this weight in it, right? Nice flat bottom here. So you would put your bean curd in there and fold your cloth around it. And then you're gonna put this press on there. It's gonna press it, and you can see here it has the holes on each side, and let the excess water kind of drip out. You're trying to drain it. And then you would sit it in the refrigerator overnight to let it set. Okay, that's what I use now. Now these are kind of expensive. It's a little over $100, just slightly over $100. Now, for some people that may be too much of an investment, because I like beans and they're so healthy and I eat them a lot and I make a lot of no-fu. It's a good investment for me, investment in health, of course. So that's the option that I use now. Before I had the stainless steel press though, I use this, and it gets the same result, but it's plastic and a little more difficult to work with. So here we would put our bean curd in and put our cloth around it, and then put our press in. And when you put it in, if my hand was the bean curd, it's going to be up against it, and you're going to push that lid down until it gets to where it's all the way down in here and closed. Okay. And then it has some little vents here to pour the excess water out, and you will refrigerate this. This one, I don't remember, I bought it a while ago. I think it was in the $20 to $30 range, somewhere in there, but this is a much cheaper option. The cheapest option of all. Now, of course, as you get cheaper, the work increases, so you have to do more work, but you're saving money. But this is your other option. And all I have here is a stainless steel strainer or colander, whatever you want to call it, and you would put your bean curd here. And you would put your cloth in, and then you would sit it here so that when you're pressing it, the water that it exudes will sit in this bowl, right? But here now, you're going to need something to press it. So if my bean curds are here and I put it in here, it's going to be bulky. I'm going to take this. This is just water, okay? But you can fill this up with water. It'll get kind of heavy. You put it in. You need something with a nice flat bottom. Put it in, and you're going to manually press your curds down and try to get all the excess water out, okay? Then you're gonna remove this and strain the water out of your bowl. You're gonna put your pressure back on the bean curd, and you're gonna put this in the refrigerator and refrigerate overnight. So these are your 3 options. And the more you go down, the more work it is, but the more money you're saving. And again, if you're just gonna make some no-fu here and there, this might be your best option. If you're gonna do it semi-regular, maybe you want here. And if you're gonna be like me and you eat a lot of beans and you wanna make no-fu pretty often, then this might be a worthy investment for you. But nevertheless, these are the options. Now we're gonna move on and get started with making our no-fu. Let's do it. All right, so the first step in making our no-fu / Mung-Fu is to process our beans. So these are organic split mung beans, and I bought them dry. But you don't want to try to make milk with dry beans, so the first thing you need to do is to soak them. Now you need to soak them for a minimum of 8 hours, so the easiest way to do that is just soak them overnight. So I threw them in some water, in a bowl of water, and let them soak overnight, and now I've drained them and they're ready to go. So the next thing we're going to do is blend these really well to make our bean milk, and then go from there. Let's do it. Okay, so to get these blended, I'm going to dump my beans into my blender here. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is add my water so I can blend up my beans here. So I tried several different beans to make this no-fu, but none of them had quite the right texture. but mung beans do, and that's a good thing because they're super healthy. I encourage you all to look up the health benefits of mung beans. All right, so now I've got it blended really nice and basically turned it into a bean milk, which is exactly what we want. Now, it has to be strained, and for that, we're gonna use our nut bag that I spoke about earlier, and we're gonna pour our contents in this bag here and get it all in there. Okay, now it's time to feel like a kid. We're just playing in the mud and the water out here. We're just gonna pull our bag up here and start straining. So squeezing the milk from the bag is the only arduous part of this process, but be patient and try to do a good job because you want to remove as much liquid as you can. If you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe below. Okay, so again, I just poured the mixture that we blended into our bag, and then I took my time and squeezed out all the water that I could get out, as much as I could get out. That's our bean milk that we're going to use, and what we're not going to use is what's left in the bag, and you can see that this is really dry. So I did a really good job of getting as much of the liquid as I could from the pulp, which is good because this is what we're going to use for our next step. So let's get to step. So the next step in this process is we're going to let our liquid sit for a while. Now I say at least 20 to 30 minutes. Even longer could be better. And the idea here is that we want the starches in this liquid to sink to the bottom and separate from the liquid. Because if we just poured it all in there with the starches, it's going to potentially make the finished result more crumbly, and your no-fu won't be as firm as it would be. So we're just going to let this sit, let it sink, and then go with it from there. Now I've let my liquid sit for about 30 minutes. And you can see that the starch is starting to settle at the bottom, which is exactly what we want, because when you pour it in, you want to try to keep the starch separate, as I mentioned. So this is a good thing. And now I'm going to get it poured into my pot. The important thing about pouring it is to make sure that you don't let the starch at the bottom of the bowl get into the pot. Okay, so I poured all of my liquid into the pan, and you can see here just how much starch is at the bottom. Right? And that's a good amount of starch that, we have in there. So that was the idea, was to remove this part of it from the liquid. That's what we did. And now we're going to move on. All right, so now I've just turned my pan on to get this started. Now, one thing that's very important, guys, is as you start to cook this, the mixture will have a tendency to kind of start sticking at the bottom, and you don't want it to stick at the bottom. So you really got to kind of baby this and mix it pretty regularly. Now, I like to mix it with a spatula, like a stainless steel spatula that has a straight edge, because I find that really scrapes the bottom really well. And that's what you want to do, just to keep it from sticking to the bottom. So I'm going to start stirring it now, and I'll do it through the process of heating it up. A continuous stir is important because we don't want our milk to start to stick to the bottom of the pot. If it does, this could give our Mung-Fu a burnt taste. All right, so I've been mixing and stirring for about 8-10 minutes now, and this is how it's looking. And at the point where it starts boiling and bubbling and looking like this is when we add our lemon juice. So I'm putting in a combination of lemon juice and water. And once you add it to the mixture, it's important that you stir it to mix it in with the bean milk really well. Okay, so you saw me add my lemon juice, and that was to get it curdling, and that's what's happening now. And it's curdled some, but at this point I'm gonna put a lid over it to get it covered, and then wait about 15 minutes or so and let it curdle even more. Okay, so it's time for the next step of our process. I've been letting my mixture sit to curdle for about 30 minutes now. Now let's open this up and see what we've got here. All right, this looks great. As you can see, it curdled really well. And I want you to pay particular attention. If you look here, the water around the curdles is really clear. It's really nice and clear, which is what you want. If you were to check yours and that water was still cloudy, then that means that you didn't pull all the content out of that water. And then you would remove your curdles, and with the cloudy water that remains, you would repeat the process. You put it back on the heat, add more lemon juice, get it to curdle so that you get all the curdling that you can, and then you're ready to go. But this looks nice and clear, the water does. That means we're ready to take the curdles out and get it pressed. Let's do it. Okay, so now before we put our curdles here, we have to line it with our cheesecloth. Now, I want to tell you that one of the little things that I do is I wet my cheesecloth, because if it's not wet and it's dry, it's a little bit difficult to get it to mold around in the shape that you want. But when you wet it, it has a little weight to it. So you just put it in there and it will form right into the shape of your mold, which is perfect, like it's doing right now. Okay, so now we're going to get our curdles in our presser and press. When removing the curds from the pot, be delicate and try not to break them into smaller pieces. If you break them into pieces too small, it can make your final result too crumbly. Now, when putting them in your cloth, you just want to wrap them up really nicely and then add your weight. Now, after you put your weight on top of your cloth, you want to press down and try to get all the extra water out. And then we're going to refrigerate and see what we have tomorrow morning. All right, guys, so it's the next day. Our tofu has sat overnight. Now I'm gonna take it out and we're gonna see what we have here. For people who are hesitant to eat tofu or soy, this Mung-Fu is truly like a gift, which is appropriate because right now it's time to unwrap it and see what we've got. All right, guys, so our tofu looks great. And it's only appropriate that I cut a few pieces. I think I'm gonna season it, bake it, and then let's make something with it. See what we got. And I'm proud to say that what we've got is some beautiful soy-free Mung-Fu. Okay, so I thought what I would do is just throw something really quick together to season my tofu. So I've got some almond flour here. I'm gonna add a little bit of smoked paprika. I'm gonna add a little black pepper here. And a little bit of garlic powder. All right. All right, that's pretty quick and simple, nothing fancy. And I'm gonna rely on, I'm not adding any moisture. I don't cook with oil, obviously, so I'm not adding any moisture to the tofu. I'm gonna rely on the moisture that's still present on the outside of the tofu to make the mixture stick to it, okay? So I'm gonna dip this here. So this Mung-Fu is not quite as firm as most tofus that I've dealt with. If you're gonna cook it in the skillet on the stovetop, be careful when turning it and removing it from the pan. The best way to cook it is by baking it. All right, can't get any simpler than that, right? Quick mixture, it's on there. Gonna throw them in the oven to bake and go from there. All right, you convinced yet? This looks absolutely great. I just baked up my tofu. Perfect. So now I want to make something with this delicious tofu, and I decided to make a sandwich. And I want you to think about something. The tofu is healthy vegan, as you know. The veggie bacon, healthy vegan. The mayo, healthy vegan. Even the bread, healthy vegan. All these things you see here are things that I have made right here at home. So it's doable. And all these things, now this bread is something that I have not posted yet, but I think I'm going to be posting this in 2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from the day that you're watching this video, or the day that this video is released, is when I'm going to release my recipe for this delicious healthy vegan bread. So stay tuned for that. I've already done the recipe for the healthy vegan bacon, the mayo, and of course now we got the tofu. Let's put them together with some lettuce, sprouts, tomatoes, make a delicious sandwich. Let's do it. Okay, now let's add some healthy vegan mayo to our healthy vegan bread. So to some of you, making Mung-Fu may seem like quite the process. And honestly, the first 2 or 3 times I made it, it seemed very awkward. But after that, I got the hang of it, and now it's a breeze. I encourage all of you to make some Mung-Fu and start enjoying it in all the ways you would tofu, but without the soy. From crispy Mung-Fu to salads to sandwiches, the possibilities are endless. Guys, I mean, come on now. Come on. The bread is healthy vegan, the bacon is healthy vegan, the no-fu is healthy vegan, the mayo is healthy vegan. Make your own is not just a slogan, it's how we roll. Ooh, it's gonna take a big bite. Now that's healthy vegan. So I've had a lot of people write me and ask me how to find the recipes to the cooking show videos like the one you just watched. If you're having trouble finding the recipe, look below the video for the word more. Tap on the word more and you'll see the beginning of the recipe. Tap on the word more again and the full recipe will appear, and then you can begin to make your own. Thanks for watching.